We'll be back out on Airline Drive. It'll actually be my first time out there seeing the Saints hitting the field. I wasn't there for rookie minicamp. I'm looking forward to OTAs and seeing some of these guys out there. We also get into a little bit of a draft scenario with the Pro Bowl and what's the deal with Hunter Renfrow. We break it all down.
Yeah, most exciting time of the year, just seeing the new players on the field. Derek Carr having the unveiling is going to be incredibly exciting. I can't wait to see him just kind of throw some passes and know that they are in a new quarterback era. And as always, we are presented by PJ's Coffee. Make sure you go and check them out. They got locations all over the city. Best coffee in all of America, if you ask me. We start our day with them, so you should start your day with them because they like the things that you like. If you're listening to this, I hope you like it, but maybe you don't. I don't know, but check them out. And we are coming to you from the Better Call BADEAUX podcast studio. So if you need legal help with any of the following: car wrecks, offshore injuries, 18-wheeler collisions, Maritime and Jones Act, hurricane and storm claims, you better call BADEAUX at 504-323-7777 or 985-303-7777 for your free consultation and case review. And we are also sponsored by Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. That is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. It is not for the thin-skinned. It's blended in New Orleans. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. And last, well, almost last, but not least for sure, Ideal Market. Check them out. They have an award-winning customer service center. They do great things for the community, so much so that they are award-winning, and their hot plates are second to none. It's better than some restaurants. I just had the carne asada tacos the other day. Absolutely outstanding. Go check them out. And while you're out and about, Firehouse Subs, Veteran Boulevard location. They do great stuff for the community. They just donated a ton of subs I saw to our friend Alan to hand out to the disadvantaged. So make sure you support them because they actually do care about the people in your community. All right, let's get into the show.
As we mentioned, OTAs begin Tuesday. The guys are going to be out on the field. We're going to see Derek Carr for the first time in a black and gold uniform. Kind of excited about that.
That's really exciting. Yeah.
Unless they have like the red practice,
they will.
jerseys on. But I want to see the black and gold digs on these new guys. And we already got to see a few, Jake Haener and Kendre Miller. They were in LA this past week at the NFLPA rookie premiere. We got to hear from both of them. And I think it's actually important that we note Kendre Miller gave us his own update for his health and on his knee. Of course, he had the right MCL surgery. He said he's back on track, that he is currently still in physical therapy. So we're not going to see a whole lot of him. We're probably going to see what we saw in rookie minicamp, him kind of working off to the side with trainers. He mentioned the humidity and it being hot. My friend, wait until August.
Yeah.
You just wait. He also said he's ready to get back out. Rehab is going great. His right knee has gotten stronger. And currently right now, he's working on hip strength. And he is back to running every day. But this quote was pretty interesting.
Back on track, running every day. Looking forward into the season. I just want to, get going. Hopefully I can have a great season and, come out with one of those big awards for the rookies.
This man does not lack any confidence at all. I love it. Every single time we talk to him, he says something that's just like a little over the top. And the best part about it is like his delivery is just so nonchalant when he says these things. And then you go back and listen to it and it's like, oh, wait, he really thinks he can run routes like Alvin Kamara. But that's who he is. And I think that's going to help him. He's in a tough battle. There's some talent on this depth chart. And I like his mentality maybe as much as anything about his game.
I think more impressive, too, the way he was able to build his body back. That doesn't look like a guy who had MCL surgery did it when he was out in rookie minicamp.
Man, well, look, we're not going to get to see him in full form until training camp probably. And even then, we're not going to – like, it's that first preseason game. I can't wait for him. When people are trying to tackle this dude, I mean, the tape looks so impressive, and then to see him in person, it's like that guy that I was watching on tape is that big. Like, I really look forward to watching him bounce off probably, second and third string guys. He's gonna be the eye opener of the preseason. I'm sure.
I'm not like trying to be cute here by coming up with a creative answer or something, but like I think I'm more excited to see him play than anybody they drafted right now. It's just I like his game. The potential's there. He's a player that I think fits really well, and it's just I'm excited to see him get out there and get the work. I think he's going to transform the offense a little bit with just bringing some young life, some young legs to that running back room. I got him ahead of like Brazil. Like if they were all practicing tomorrow, like I would be looking at him first before anybody else.
Well, Jake Haener was also out there in LA. I've got some questions for the moves he put out. You'll see in the video that we share, but he has said that he's already been in a meeting room with Derek Carr and Jameis Winston. He mentioned, those are good people, good leaders, and they know what it's like to be successful. He said, I'm going to do everything I can to learn. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And then he said this, which I think is kind of interesting.
And like I said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm just going to do everything I can to learn and go into OTAs and try to turn a few heads and just be myself. I think that's the biggest thing throughout this process is you got to continue to be authentic, continue to be consistent, and ultimately, if you do that, people will follow you.
He's another guy that doesn't lack for confidence. I just wrote about him Monday on the site, so please check that out because I did a deep dive. I talked to John Beck, the same trainer that trains with Jameis Winston, Drew Brees out there in Southern California. I talked to his head coach, Jeff Tedford, same guy who coached Aaron Rodgers, Cam Jordan, among many others. And they are taken back by how unique this guy is. Driven, determined, had a plan from a young age, packs his own meals on the road, treats every workout session, practice session, on the field situation like Drew Brees. And, the comparisons are inevitable because he said he grew up a big Drew Brees fan. They're both 6 feet tall. But I think those comparisons are real. Like, all the people who know both of those guys are like, he's like, the word that John Beck used was fanatical. He said some guys can just show up and their talent, they know they have the talent, but some people who know they have something to overcome are fanatical about getting every inch they can. And they said that's why everybody keeps comparing him to Drew Brees. That has been his approach since like a young age. There's a great story in there from Jeff Tedford about how he told him when he was he met him when he was going into like middle school or junior high, and he told him he needed to work on his jump roping, and he took it as a mission and has been texting and calling the coach with jump rope videos ever since.
And based on that interview, he kind of already sounds like Drew Brees. I think he's been watching too much Drew Brees film. He almost sounds a little too much like him, but no, he did mention that he wants to still be himself, and we'll get to see that this week, and maybe he does turn a few heads. You think that's possible?
It's possible. I mean, look, he's a guy that doesn't just bring his own lunch pail. He brings his own lunch apparently too. So he's going to do everything he needs to do to succeed. I think his work ethic's obviously there. I think he's a good football player. I think when you watch him, it's a lot different than say Ian Book. Like there's traits that you see coming off right away with Haener. It's not as much as a projection. Book was kind of like, well, he does these things well. In crunch time, he has good plays, but there was a lot of bad. I think Haener's a lot cleaner. He's just really, really small, and he needs to show that he can overcome that. And it's not just playing like Drew Brees. To succeed at that size, you have to see the field like Drew Brees. And Drew used to see like throwing lanes between guards and centers and put the ball in places where sometimes it was just a trust throw. Like you're throwing the ball knowing that people are going to be there without actually seeing them. Haener's going to have to show that he can do all that stuff, know the offense that well. And that's taking it to a whole nother level. So I think there's a lot of stuff to answer, but he definitely has the traits, I think, that make him an intriguing prospect.
And speaking of some of these rookies, those two guys have signed their rookie contracts. Isaiah Foskey has still not signed, and I don't think it's that much of a surprise because remember this time last year, Alontae Taylor actually waited until July 19th to officially sign his rookie contract. Is it similar in the way they're both playing it?
Yeah, like this is a second rounder thing. It's extremely normal. None of the second rounders in that range have signed yet. And the reason for that is it's this battle about offset language. And what that is basically, if a guy gets cut and he signs with another team, the amount of money that he signed with the other team offsets what the original team owes him. So if it's $7 million and he signs for $6 million, he only gets $1 million. So when they're negotiating these deals, they're trying to get the offsets taken out of that. So then if they get cut and go somewhere else, they get the whole $13 million in that scenario. So that's just kind of, they're waiting for one person to lose one way or the other. The teams are waiting, the agents are losing, and then that person sets the market for everybody else. So the teams are hoping that one of these guys just gets hungry and they want their $1 million in the bank. And the agents are telling them, no, don't do it. Just hold out. And once one guy signs, they'll all sign. So it'll probably be right around that July time. Alontae Taylor actually won his battle last year by waiting that long. And I'm sure that is extremely painful. If I got drafted in April, I would probably have had my whole signing bonus sent by July 19th. Right. So it takes some patience, but it's ultimately worth it for the players to hold out in the end.
Yeah, and hold out. It's important to note that he's still going to practice during OTAs and minicamp.
Yeah, hold out for the money, not hold out for practice.
And that would be a concern for a rookie if he was missing practice time. And if it went into training camp, we've seen rookies miss. I mean, back in the old days before this slotted system, rookies would miss training camp time, and that is meaningful. Rookies should not miss. I don't expect him to miss a single practice, so I'm not worried about it.
Right. It's a business at the end of the day, and some of these things can be uncomfortable and can get ugly, but we do expect Isaiah Foskey to be out at OTAs and, of course, at training camp pending him signing that contract. We're going to get into a little bit of some fun today. Not name that saint. We're not getting that crazy, but we are going to have our very own Pro Bowl draft, and I'll leave it to Mike to explain what we're going to do.
All right. So this idea was, now that we're going to see all these players on the field and we were talking about who we're really excited to see, I want to be like actual expectations for the guys on this team this year. Who do we think could actually make the Pro Bowl or an all-pro team? Sometimes Pro Bowl comes with asterisks, certain positions that the Pro Bowl tends to ignore or whatever. But last year, did they only have one? They ended up with two selections. The Saints started to fall a little out of public favor or whatever. This is going to be like a bet. We're going to go back in January and see how we did. We're going to draft 4 players each, so a total of 12, that we think can or will make the Pro Bowl or a first or second team All-Pro this year. Snake draft order. So Brandon's going to pull our names out of the hat.
Here comes the voice of God out of nowhere. We're eventually going to get a camera on Brandon over there. But for now,
all right,
go ahead.
Brooke, give me a drum roll. All right, bam. First person we got is Nick.
Hey.
And this is, I wanted the first pick. I think there's one obvious answer. Let's see if Nick agrees.
Second pick, give me another one, Brooke. Bam.
There we go.
Oh, so I'll go third and fourth.
Here. Ready.
All right. So first pick, I thought this was extremely easy. I'm taking Marshawn.
That would have been mine too.
Yeah. Hey, you got to take the best player on the team. I think if he's healthy, easy in there. I think the secondary is going to be way better this year too. Everybody's going to be playing together. Marshawn stays healthy. The safeties know how to play with one another. They know how to communicate. Alante's in there at the other outside spot. I think if you have two guys kind of that are really good at press, that's going to create more opportunities for turnovers. I think Marshawn's going to pick off some passes. He's looked more and more locked in at practices the last 2 years than we've seen him at any point in his career. So you add in that health element, you got to make the bet there.
Man, what's going on? Of course, he picks Marshawn Lattimore. You just saw me. I had to scratch him off my list now.
He was number one on my list.
Go with another easy one, Cam Jordan.
Sure.
Remember last time he was in this situation where he was in contract talks and how he came out that season and just had put up some of his best numbers. I think that's going to be the case this year. I'm not playing into the father time card. I still think Cam Jordan has, I don't want to say a few good years left. We'll see. But I want to believe that the next 2 years, he's still going to look like the Cam Jordan that we know. He's almost coming into a bigger leadership role, I feel like, with a lot of these younger guys starting to step up, like an Alante Taylor. It'll be interesting to see how he comes in. You're adding in some new guys to the secondary and a lot of new guys, too, on the defensive line. So I think Cam Jordan not only will produce on the field, but will be even more vocal than he has been in years past.
I think that's an interesting one, too, because he does have the name recognition and the popularity that is going to help you continue to get into these Pro Bowls. So it's a solid number 2 pick for sure.
He was number 2 on my list for those same reasons.
He was lower. I had him 6th.
Yeah,
really?
that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. But for what you said, name recognition, and that's why with pick number 3, I'm going to go DeMario Davis. I thought it was really interesting. He finally made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career last year, even though he's been first team and second team All-Pro, because it's so hard for off-ball linebackers to make the Pro Bowl. And I think we would all agree that it was probably, I don't, worst sounds like a bad word, but like every other season he's had with the Saints was probably better than last year.
I know.
But he had earned that name recognition because he has finally established himself as one of the elite linebackers in the game. And once you establish that, you get the recognition maybe for a couple years, even beyond when you deserve it. But look, DeMario Davis better be. He's very important to the team right now because they're so thin at linebacker. So he's my number 3. I'm a little torn at number 4 because I have a 4 and a 5, and I'm excited about my number 5. It's like my wild card pick, but maybe he'll come around to me a few picks later. But number 4, I'm going to go with Derek Carr. We talked about the NFC quarterback rankings. I think we ranked him 5th and just outside the top 5. But look, I mean, the spotlight's going to be on him. Jalen Hurts is going to get one of those spots. All the other ones are pretty up for grabs this year. And I think if Derek Carr shows the potential he can in this offense. One of those 3 Pro Bowl quarterback spots is really attainable for him.
I love how we're all in the same spot. You keep seeing us like squiggle out our names. But
Where was Carr on your list?
He was second. I had him second
Okay.
on mine because I think if they win 10, 11 games, it's a slam dunk.
he was third. He was third on mine.
Dak Prescott is going to make the Pro Bowl ahead of Derek.
Next.
You're up.
Oh, I'm up.
You're up.
So for me, in this, it's hard to make this selection too because we're
Don't
getting
take
kind of
mine.
into the nitty gritty.
I think we all went the
Don't
same. I
take
should have
mine.
done it, darn it.
Michael Thomas.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
I
I
think-
like that pick.
But and I hate to say this because we always say this. There's always some sort of factor as to why we don't think he's got to be healthy, right? We always have to factor that in. If he's healthy, he comes back this year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even a debate that he is a Pro Bowl wide receiver, first team All-Pro. He's been a 3-time Pro Bowler when he's healthy. He's leading the NFL record books when he is healthy. I think he comes back this year, and I think it's a slam dunk for him. But
Love
stay
it.
healthy.
If your prediction comes true, this is going to be an exciting season to cover.
I did
Oh,
not
yeah.
think that I could be replaced as the leader of the Mike Thomas brigade, but I think you just took it from me.
I just think it's we're at that time now. How long have we been saying if he has a healthy season? I think it's his time.
I had him honorable mention on mine just because I felt like he needed to be
Yeah.
in there, but I like the gumption to put him on the list. If he's healthy, he's taken out. He's one of the best receivers in the league, so
and
I like it.
Going back to Demario Davis, we can all agree, right? Biggest Pro Bowl snub in the last few years. And I only say that too is when you hear from the players in the locker room, I have never heard more disdain for the voters than I have when Demario Davis is left off. We go in there and we go do interviews, whenever it is the next few days. And the one guy that we always continue to hear is, why is Demario Davis not on the list?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be a mistake for the years to come.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was crazy that he was getting on the All-Pro without the Pro Bowl, and then last year, when he finally got it, the emotion in his face and everything, almost
It's
he
huge.
almost cried, and hearing how much that meant to him and his path with his faith and all that
Yes.
stuff that led him to
His
it.
career story
It
is awesome.
was an emotional time for
And his
sure.
career story too, for people that forget, he almost walked away from football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember that? I mean, he did an interview with me and explained that he was in a closet praying in Cleveland and thought his career was over, and he hadn't even yet started, I think.
Right.
I think after that, he number one, the water kinetics or the way that he works out in the off season. If you do a side-by-side picture, maybe we'll put one up. It doesn't even look like they should be flipped. It should be like the before and after, not the after and before, right? So I think he'll be fine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so my guy's still here, and
You
I'm
get 2 in a
torn.
row here.
I am. I'm getting both of them. All right, fantastic. I get them both because I was torn. So I'm going Tyron because I think if the secondary is what I think it's going to be, he's going to get the interceptions. He's going to be, the popularity and all that's very, very well baked in. I thought he had an outstanding second half of the season. I think he's going to be way better next year, just being comfortable with what he's doing. And then I am taking Chris Olave at 6. If Derek Carr does what I think he's going to do and the Saints win 10, 11 or more games, I think that Chris Olave's numbers are going to be crazy. He's going to be the face of this offense. I think him and Derek Carr are going to have some real big-time highlight plays. Carr can really throw the ball down the field. So that's my guy.
All right.
Did I take yours?
You didn't take my wild card pick. I had Tyron 6th, and I had Olave 8th. My only qualifier with Olave is I think Olave is going to be awesome. I think if we're ranking MVPs for the team this season, Olave, I would pick him in the top 3. It's just an impossible position to break through. I mean, you're going up against Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an we saw it with Marcus Colston.
But having a breakout fan, if he, the thing with Chris is he's going to have to score touchdowns. And if you get more, what do you have last year? 3 or 4? If he needs to have 8 or 9 to get into the Pro Bowl.
The
because
quarterback change helps.
It helps tremendously.
So
No,
if you are a good fantasy player, your odds of getting into the Pro Bowl are significantly higher. And if you are a breakout fantasy player on a winning team, you're getting into the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, no, I mean, Marcus Colston, a friend of the program, spent his whole career not being able to break through because there was always this. It's a superstar position. It is the hardest one to gain entry into the club. But if Olave doesn't do it, he's going to be right on the cusp.
So we're halfway through, right? We're doing 12 picks?
Well, no, that's 7 because Nick did pick 6 and 7 right there. So we just passed the halfway mark, and it's back to you.
Okay. I'm going, and I still think this is a safe pick, Eric McCoy.
Okay.
I wanted him. I had him 7th. I thought I was going to be a smart pick on my part.
He just makes sense, right? despite injuries last year, he is just such a solid center. And two, I think people forget, and Nick, you mentioned this in one of the shows, like calling out the protections.
Yeah.
For a center to do that, and Eric McCoy has proven that he's very capable and is highly intelligent and can do those things. What is the difference between the quarterback calling them and the center calling them, and then add in to all the other things that they're having to call out in the flow of a game?
I think it's going to make Eric's job a lot easier. And I think when you take that off and put it on the quarterback, and there's just one guy kind of directing everything instead of it being pieced apart, and you're trying to put together multiple people's visions, when there's one person that can just do that cohesively, I think it makes it a lot easier. And there was some talk about this, like Mark Ingram was talking about it on a podcast recently, just about how much that can help an offense as a whole when there's just one guy that can go out there and look, he can go out there and look at it, and Pete Carmichael's going to call 2 plays based on what they're seeing. And now he can make multiple decisions off that information based on what he's seen in the pass rush to make sure they're getting them in the right play. And that helps everybody play better. Like there were years where we went through this thinking that the Saints had built this offensive line that was just the greatest thing that was ever constructed. But if you really go back and look at it, it's because Drew never allowed them to get into trouble after 2017 because he's throwing the ball so fast. He's getting them into all the right plays, and you're only blocking for 1.8, 1.9 seconds. It's really hard to give up a pressure. So we were thinking these guys were like the greatest offensive linemen ever. Drew leaves, you get a different quarterback, and now all of a sudden it's like, damn, he fell off. Like, no, nobody fell off. They were just elevated by the quarterback. And I think they're going to get back to a certain level. It's not going to be Drew level, obviously, but you're going to get above that level just by having Derek Carr, it being built in his identity, him being on the same page with the OC. I think everybody plays better next year.
And I agree. Look, a running game that's going to be led by Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Kendre Miller. The offensive linemen are going to get credit for their running success.
Don't let Kendre hear you say those names in that order.
That's a really good point. But McCoy is the one I think would get the recognition because, you know, we were talking about Cam and DeMario have that recognition. I think McCoy is right on the cusp. I think his name's been out there long enough. He's gotten his second contract. There's a respect level there, and he's the offensive lineman I had ranked the highest of all the offensive linemen that would get the credit for that success. And so now I'm picking at 9 and 10. This is the one I was excited about that I thought about going early. Rashid Shaheed at kick returner.
Oh, okay. All right. That's almost cheating. All right.
Well, it's kind of almost cheating, except for the reason I went with Carr is there's 3 spots available for quarterback. There's 1 available for a kick returner. So he's got to be the very best. But I frankly don't think I'm sensationalizing to say he should probably be the odds-on front runner. I mean, he is so dynamic every time he touches the ball. I think if he doesn't score a touchdown, if he doesn't score 2 touchdowns, it'll almost be a letdown in the return game. And so I've opened the door for somebody else to cheat in the same department.
An interjection real quick, too. Yeah. I think it's a sneaky good pick because I think he's also going to make a lot of plays on offense, and there's going to be name recognition there because he's going to break out there. If the Saints don't get another wide receiver, and we're going to get to this topic in a minute, like, there could be, you know, he should be the third guy, and that should lead to a lot of plays. So, yeah, I like it. Yep. It's sneaky. I wasn't thinking kick returner, so I feel cheated a little bit here. But
I thought you were going to see.
I wasn't prepared. Like,
I thought you were going to steal that one from me. But look, she got really clever with the Michael Thomas pick early, you know, and I got the Shaheed pick.
Let me ask you this really quick because I think some people are interested in this.
I love it.
Based on year 1, do you pick Deontay Hardy or Rashid Shaheed?
Well, Rashid Shaheed didn't have the volume. Yeah, Rashid, but I think higher ceiling. I really do. Okay. And that's saying a lot because Deontay Hardy was so good. Deontay Hardy was all Pro Bowl. That's how good he was. I'll never forget
that Seattle return.
But Shaheed is, I mean, I saw some things that I was like, he could be the most special one we've seen come through here yet. Now, the sample size is very small. You got to do it. But
Returner only on that?
Returner only.
I would have to go Hardy on that one.
He did
year 1. Yeah. The way his trajectory went after the first year was actually a little bit surprising to me. I was surprised he wasn't as dynamic moving forward. I think Rashid's a better overall football player, though. And look, part of that's just due to fit in the offense. Like, Hardy did everything excellently at wide receiver. Like, his routes are crazy. The things he can do, I think, are really good. It's just the size is a factor, and Shaheed isn't limited in the same ways.
My next one, I have another projection that'll be fun, but I'll take that.
We're at 10 here?
I'll take the freebie here. We're starting the last round. I'll take Ryan Ramczyk here. It's not going to be the Pro Bowl. It's not going to be the Pro Bowl because right tackles don't make the Pro Bowl. It's the same problem DeMario faced, but even worse. If you're a right tackle, you don't make the Pro Bowl. But he absolutely has the name recognition. If this offense is going to be good and if he stays healthy, I like his chances to get on one of the All-Pro rosters at right tackle again.
Yeah. I had
But
him on my
if he
list,
stays
too.
healthy, is a huge. That's why he's the 10th pick in this draft. When probably 2 years ago he would have been a top 3 pick.
Right.
2 years ago, I was thinking he might have been like a Hall of Fame caliber player. Like he was on that trajectory. He made the All-Pro teams early in his career. I thought it was going to build to that, and then it just hasn't. And now it's just kind of a question of like, does he keep outlasting that knee? I mean, that's a huge issue for him going forward.
So 11 and 12. Who's taking it?
You're 11.
You're up, and I'm fascinated to see where you go here. There's
So
a few
this is
ways.
kind of my sleeper pick.
All right.
Okay.
I
All
bet
right.
I bet
Jawan Johnson?
that's the one I
Yeah.
just
All right,
thought about.
all right.
Yeah.
I think he's due, and he's now been given an opportunity in a role where he has every opportunity to shine this season, and I think he does. So
He
we'll
has a
see.
chance to put up big numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
they did finally sign Foster Moreau,
Well,
but
and Derek
the
Carr
pass
is
catching guy there.
Derek
yeah.
Carr is a tight end friendly
Mhm.
quarterback. I think that he proved that in I was about to say Oakland, in Las Vegas. So I think Jawan Johnson will put up Pro Bowl numbers actually. So
Yeah.
So it's the last pick of the fantasy draft,
All right.
and this is where you just make kind of
Because you can drop them and pick someone up off waivers.
Yeah. I'm making a high upside pick because look, I could take like Brian Brzee
I had him
here,
on my
or
list,
I
yeah.
could take Jamal here, and maybe they get in. Maybe this is the year where people decide to respect Taysom because he scores 14 touchdowns.
They will have to
or
create a new
something like that.
position for the Pro Bowl
Yeah.
for him to get.
Yeah, but or Marcus May's even someone that would be a sleeper here. But I'm just gonna go with the easy. Okay, yeah, he's gonna miss X amount of games, but I'm gonna get 11 games of fantasy production from Alvin Kamara,
Yep.
and I'm gonna take him, even though I think he's probably gonna get suspended, which probably makes him a long shot to make the Pro Bowl. But if he gets suspended and he comes back and he has insane numbers and they win 12, 13 games, maybe he finds his way in there. Just
He
name
was
recognition and
my number
upside.
12 for
Yeah.
all those reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could do it in 11 games. Yeah, the suspension hurts for a couple of reasons. I mean, it people probably look at it negatively too as something that hurt the team. But he's got the talent to do it. And I'm curious. I wonder if the depth at running back and the limited mileage he's going to get will make it look like Alvin in the earlier years when he did it in small doses and it was a bigger impact.
I don't see the clock turning back like that.
Yeah.
But I think that he can be better and more effective in a better role. But I think there's been a lot of talk about like Alvin coming. How does he get back? He's almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like there's a Alvin of the future and there's an Alvin of the past, and the Alvin of the past isn't going to be the Alvin of the future.
He's turning 28 this summer. You don't have to round up to 30 yet. Come on,
But
man.
I mean, he's in that
I know,
back
just
stanza
kidding.
for
I'm
a
just
running back. It's just where
Yeah,
they're at.
At
in
running
his
back,
career. Yeah.
28 might as well be
I think
40,
there just needs to be realistic expectations. I think he can be better and more dynamic than he has been, but like thinking that he's going to be having that run against Tampa Bay that he had in his rookie season, like it's just, I don't think it's there anymore.
Well, I like it. That'll do it for our.
Who
go ahead.
missed you? Well, you got him. Nick told us that.
Brian Brzee was the guy that I had if I had to pick at 12.
Yeah. I had a couple left. I had JT Gray as another easy pick, but since I took Rashid Shaheed,
God.
I wasn't going to cheat twice with specialists. I put Pete Werner on here. I don't think so. It was hard enough for DeMario to get on there. I think it'd be impossible for Pete Werner to get on there for a couple more years. But then I got two like wild cards. Like if we really had to go down to it, Will Lutz and Blake Gillikin as two guys who definitely have the talent to do it. I think Will Lutz has made a Pro Bowl. Blake Gillikin, I think, very easily should have made it 2 years ago. But they're also candidates to like lose their jobs. I mean, the variance between how those two seasons could go, I think it's interesting to talk about.
You should have took JT to get your shake back for getting smoked and name that saying. And even though I took the most crap, for the field goal, you had the ugliest kick. So you should have cheated us there to win. Look, the slander that I have endured when that kick is on that video too, this will not be forgotten. What camera are we on? I know, I see it. This will not be forgotten.
My kick was the straightest of the three.
No, Brooks was. Brooke beat us in all levels.
She hit
It
a.
was still bad.
We were humiliated. Her effort
Mine
humiliated
went
us.
right up the middle.
It humiliated us.
If I had a putter attached to my leg, it was a perfect.
I'm not
putt.
going to let you do this. Her kick was better than yours. In every
Yeah,
form and
I will
fashion.
say this: when we were there and we were watching the kicks and everything, I mean, I knew mine was bad. And we were talking about, oh, should we use this? Can we hide this from the public? No, we got to show our best. When I finally saw it on video, it was way worse than I expected. I showed my daughter, known football fanatic, and she was extremely ashamed of me.
Sue cyberbullied me and private bullied me for like 3 days after the video.
I want to just give a shout out to the people on social media who came up with some pretty interesting pictures and
Of
gifs.
me?
Yeah, it was
Of
great.
me?
It was great.
Yeah.
Well, we did ask you guys on social media what you wanted to hear from us. Hunter Renfrow actually popped up a few times. Last 4 years with the Raiders, there's obviously been some rumblings that the Saints do have some interest, and that's where we get into our ideal market. What would be the ideal trade scenario for Renfrow?
So this isn't just something that popped up on social media. It popped up legitimately with sources, and it's something that's been popping up repeatedly since February. Me and Mike first heard Renfrow's name before the Carr trade even happened, when they were still trying to pursue him, trying to woo him before free agency. I mean, that was like a combine rumor at that time. So they've been interested in him at some level ongoing. The fact that he hasn't been traded yet and that there's still some posturing, I think, out there is a clear sign that the Raiders haven't got the offer they wanted. They gave him a significant investment. I think they just paid like a $4 million roster bonus to him too. So they aren't going to give him away. But I think the ideal trade here is something to where you can get value that somehow adds up on your trade value chart to like a 4th round pick, because they're going to get 2 of them back. They don't currently have one. The 2 they're supposed to get back are comp picks for Onyemata and Davenport. So I think you can give up some mid-round picks there and get it back somehow, you know, when those come back. And if you can get him for like a 4th round pick equivalent, I think that's a really good deal for this team. The chemistry he has with Derek Carr is crazy. I think that he would be a finishing piece to this offense. And there's just a lot of ways that I think he can kind of fit in, but I'll pass and let it come back
well,
to me.
Nick wrote a great piece on the site about how he fits. And I've been saying this all along, like, they kept saying they wanted a contested catch receiver, and I still don't know if they exactly got that, although Michael Thomas and Jawan Johnson, if they're on the field, they can help you in that department. They've added Foster Moreau. I don't know how much to expect from A.T. Perry in year 1, but Hunter Renfrow isn't necessarily a contested catch receiver, but he's a slot receiver who lives in traffic. You mentioned Willie Snead. I also thought of Lance Moore. We've seen that in this offense for years. When it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, is there a guy you trust to get to? It's what we thought Jarvis Landry could have been. It's what we thought Emmanuel Sanders could have been. They like having that guy. I do not see that guy on the roster right now. Now, Hunter Renfrow's production really dropped off last year, but when they were in the Gruden offense, as Nick detailed in that story, he had just a season for the ages. He had over 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, caught 80% of his passes, which was second in the NFL among receivers that year. Those are like Michael Thomas catch percentage numbers. I think that would be huge. If this team had a guy that could throw to on 3rd and 6 last year, like that, with that kind of reliability. My only pauses are, I don't know what you have to give up for him. I think they'd have to get creative and bring like a 20-25 pick into the scenario. You're not touching my 2nd round pick from the Broncos that the Saints have next year.
He had
and then they
yards.
don't, and then they don't have another one till the 5th round. 5th round, ideal. I trade my 5th round. But he's also due $11 million next year. He's due like $7 million this year, $11 million next year. I guess that's okay. I mean, receiver money is so ridiculous. And since the Raiders already paid the bonus, you divide it by 2, I think it comes to $8.5 million a year. That's not too bad. I'd love to think maybe there's a pay cut involved in a trade scenario, but if you're paying him $17 million over 2 years and only giving up a 5th round pick, I'll take it. I think he'd be great for this offense.
And right now there are 12 wide receivers on the Saints roster, and he actually was on IR for some time last season. He had an abdomen muscle strain, grade 2, which I believe Marshawn Lattimore kind of had the same injury. But the year before that, you mentioned he was on the Pro Bowl roster in 2021, or sorry, that was 2 years ago. In
2021.
No, 21.
Yeah.
I think after 2020, we've all been jumbled with years. But in 2021, he was a Pro Bowl guy. I think he can get back to it. It's one of those like freak injuries that we saw a lot of these abdomen injuries last year in the NFL. If they were able to bring him in, where does he stack up, though, on this roster?
Yeah, it's a great question. And look, there was more going on with the Raiders last year than just injuries, too. There was a lot of discontentment in that locker room, and we're seeing it. Like Derek Carr, a guy that is started every game, kind of got pushed out. Devontae Adams is talking about how he's not eye to eye with him right now. I think it's
Darren Waller's already been traded.
Yeah, and I think there's a very clear tell here that Hunter Renfrow would probably be happy to go somewhere else, too. So where he would fit, though, I think this is where it kind of gets interesting because he's played 75% of his snaps in the slot. Post Willie Snead, the Saints have not had a slot receiver, and you just look through everybody's stuff. Mike Thomas, 25% of his snaps in the slot when he was healthy, just going forward almost the whole entire time. Chris Olave, he had almost 67% of his snaps on the outside, 33 on the inside. So like there were just guys moving around. Shahid played 72% of his snaps on the outside, had some snaps on the inside. So they kind of just move guys around. And I like that because it makes it really hard to key in on where people are going to be based on who's in the huddle. You can dictate matchups. It makes it harder for the defense to kind of get into the best look when you don't know who's going to be lining up where. When you put Hunter Renfrow on the team, that's a fixed asset. That's not moving anywhere. He's going to be in the slot. You know that Mike Thomas is going to be at the X and somebody else is going to be at the Z, and you know exactly what to do to match up with these guys. So taking that out, that's something that I think will be somewhat challenging for the offense, not in a major way, but it's a little bit of an advantage that you had before that you're losing. But the advantage you get back is that I think you get a significantly better player who has elite chemistry with the quarterback. And we started out the show just talking about being able to make trust throws. Like him and Derek Carr are going to be able to make trust throws together. And to your point too about not being a contested catch guy, like you get the guys running those whip routes like Danny Amendola used to do for the Patriots. That is another way to get open in those short areas of the field. And you go through Hunter's tape. I was watching some of it yesterday. Like he has just endless reels of those types of routes where he's planting and going and guys are falling off him. So I would be excited to see it. They can get him for the right price. I think you do it.
Well, we will be out there tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And we will bring you a full update in our show on Wednesday. But I think that will do it for us. We hope you guys enjoyed this new little Pro Bowl draft, and we'll see you next time.